himself. He has to.
First and foremost, this guy doesn't chase records. Records chase him.
Don't take this for granted. We are watching pure greatness in real time. At this point, it must be exhausting for the people who keep hate watching Messi because he keeps proving them wrong again and again.
Because we are all enjoying him by seeing him play. So amazing, just amazing, no words.
Every time someone doubts him, he finds another way to silence the noise and remind everyone exactly who he is. A lot of people joked that Messi moved to Miami to relax, enjoy the beach, drink mate, and take it easy. Instead, he was locked in and preparing for the World Cup on home soil in the USA. While critics were making jokes, Messi was putting in the work behind the scenes and getting ready for another massive challenge. And what happened? He keeps showing that as long as he's on the pitch, he's still the best player in the world.
Can't be the best ever because Maradona did this and he's not doing that. He's not performing to his best. And I think the last two World Cups in particular have shown essentially like how big his legacy is going to be. Yeah.
Everything runs through him. Every attack feels more dangerous with him involved, and he continues to control games in a way very few players ever have. Messi's record-breaking World Cup goal looked like something straight out of his greatest hits. Fans who had seen him dominate at the Bernabeu probably felt a wave of déjà vu because the finish looked incredibly familiar. The missed penalty almost made the moment even more dramatic. But then Messi stepped up and scored from open play to make history in style. Think about how wild that is. A player who spent years dealing with claims that he couldn't deliver enough for his national team is now sitting at the top of World Cup scoring history. That's greatness, but this is nothing new for Messi. He's been doing this his entire career. Doubts show up, criticism gets louder, and somehow he always answers the same way, through his performances.
He wasn't at the level of previous World Cups, of previous iterations of himself. I think he might have proved that wrong.
I mean, well, how many times do we need a lesson that doubt him at your own peril?
Some people do their talking on social media. Messi does his talking on the pitch. For years, people said Messi wasn't a leader because he wasn't the loudest voice in the room. He didn't scream, pound his chest, or put on a show from the sidelines. But leadership isn't about making the most noise. Messi has spent 2 decades leading by example, setting the standard every single day. He's the kind of player who makes teammates believe they can win anything. From Barcelona to Argentina to Miami, the story stays the same. Winning, winning, and more winning. That's why he has collected more trophies than any footballer in history. When people discuss Messi's greatness, they usually focus on the goals, the dribbles, and the highlight reels. But the bigger story is the impact he leaves everywhere he goes. That's what truly separates him from the rest.
Who is the best player in the world right now and why?
Every time we talk about this, I mean, same question, I would say Messi.
I'm the same. Everyone thinks just because he's playing in America, in Miami,
yeah.
I still think he's the best.
Yeah, I mean, I've had like 3 times a chance to play against him.
What's that like?
Barcelona, PSG, Argentina, Inter Miami. It doesn't matter where Messi goes. The result always seems to be the same. Winning. Different teammates, different leagues, different challenges, yet the trophies keep piling up. Before Messi arrived, Barcelona was already one of football's biggest clubs. They had a rich history, legendary players, and major trophies in the cabinet. But there was one thing missing: consistent dominance. The club would have an incredible season, then follow it with a disappointing one. They were respected, but they weren't setting the standard year after year.
Lionel Messi will never be regarded as the greatest ever player because he's never done it at a World Cup.
A revolver called the World Cup is put to Messi's head, and if he doesn't win it, it fires and kills him. It's madness.
The truth is that if Lionel Messi and Argentina do not win the World Cup, people will look back and they'll point the finger mainly at Lionel Messi.
And I think there's a feeling, not just in Argentina, but that geniuses should somehow suffer for their greatness.
Back in the early 2000s, before Messi became a regular starter, Barcelona had only won 1 Champions League title, earned in 1992. They had several La Liga trophies and were known for attractive football, but they hadn't built the kind of long-term control that defines an all-time great dynasty. They were a powerful club, but not yet the team everyone measured themselves against. Then, Messi arrived. and everything changed.
He's scored more World Cup goals after the age of 35, 12 in total, than Cristiano Ronaldo, Thierry Henry, Maradona, Rivaldo, Neymar and Harry Kane in their whole careers. Never mind, kind of over the age of 35.
Once he broke into the first team, Barcelona transformed from a strong club into a football machine that expected to compete for every trophy available every single season. Winning stopped feeling like a surprise and started feeling like the standard. During his time at Barcelona, Messi collected 10 La Liga titles, 7 Copa del Rey trophies, 4 Champions League crowns, 3 Club World Cups, 3 European Super Cups, and 8 Spanish Super Cups. The numbers are staggering, but they only tell part of the story. Messi was the engine behind one of the most successful eras football has ever seen. Between 2009 and 2019, Barcelona won 8 league titles in just 11 seasons. That level of control was almost unheard of in Spain. His goals, assists, vision, and ability to create something from nothing pushed the team to another level.
I think at this time as well, you get a chance to see from all around the world how important it is to so many people, not just those in Argentina, but for those who love the game of soccer itself as well.
Opponents often looked beaten before the match had even started because they knew who they were facing. Some critics try to downplay those accomplishments because he spent so many years with one club. But that argument falls apart pretty quickly. Nobody dismisses Francesco Totti or Paolo Maldini for staying loyal to one team. Nobody argues that Sir Alex Ferguson's achievements matter less because most of them came with Manchester United. And there's another detail people conveniently ignore. The Barcelona teams Messi played in were constantly changing. The 2011 side, with Messi operating as a false nine in one of the most famous teams ever assembled, looked completely different from the 2019 squad, where he often had to carry a much heavier burden. Different eras, different teammates, different systems, yet the winning never stopped.
No existe la casualidad, muchachos. ¿Saben qué? Esta copa se tenía que jugar en Argentina. Y Dios la trajo acá. Dios la trajo acá para que la levantemos en el Maracaná, muchachos. Para que sea más lindo para todos. Así que salgamos confiados y tranquilos que esta la vamos a llevar para casa.
As the years went on, Messi kept adapting. New positions, new teammates, new managers. It didn't matter. He adjusted to every challenge thrown his way. What's even more impressive is that, over time, the level of talent around him wasn't always as strong as it had been during Barcelona's peak years. Yet, somehow, the trophies kept coming. A lot of people love to downplay league titles because they don't get the same attention as the Champions League. But winning a league is one of the toughest tests in football. A team might catch fire and make a deep run in a cup competition, but nobody accidentally wins a league title over an entire season. That takes consistency, quality, and relentless performances week after week.
I have to say, well, there's 3 of them right. He's still going. Look at this, Kevin. It's a brilliant run from Messi. Will he go all the way? It's one of the great Copa del Rey final goals from the magical, mercurial Lionel Messi.
Of course, Messi wasn't just dominating domestically. He was a force in the Champions League too. In 2006, football fans got an early glimpse of what was coming. Messi was a young talent making his mark on the biggest stage. Some critics tried to minimize that Champions League triumph because he wasn't yet the central figure, but it was still an important step in his rise. Then came 2009, and Messi was on another level. Barcelona faced Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United, a team loaded with stars like Rooney, Ronaldo and Vidic. Yet it was Messi, the smallest player on the pitch, who rose above everyone and scored a memorable header in the final. That moment became one of football's most iconic images. Then came 2011, a season many fans consider the peak of Barcelona's dominance. Messi was sensational and once again played a massive role against Manchester United on the biggest stage. For many supporters, this version of Messi was football perfection. Unstoppable, creative, and completely in control of every match. In 2015, he added another incredible chapter by helping lead Barcelona to a historic treble alongside Suarez and Neymar. The trio became one of the most feared attacking groups football had ever seen.
This game at Wembley, watching this Barcelona team, and when I say this team changed football, this is the greatest team of all time, I'm talking of that era. I'm not just talking about Thierry's team, I'm also putting that team together in some ways. It was just, you know, 2 or 3 players slightly different, but it was that Pep Guardiola changing football, Messi in that position, Xavi, Iniesta, so many of the same players. I mean, that era for me is the greatest.
Outside of 2006, whenever Barcelona lifted the Champions League trophy, Messi was at the centre of the story. His performances in 2011, 2015, and even 2019, despite not winning the tournament that year, rank among the most remarkable individual Champions League campaigns fans have witnessed. Messi also turned the Copa del Rey into his own showcase. He won the competition 7 times and delivered one of the most famous goals in its history. You know exactly which one people still talk about. Before Messi, Barcelona was already a football giant, but with Messi, they became one of the defining teams of the modern era. Even today, when a club puts on a breathtaking performance, fans still compare them to the legendary 2011 Barcelona side. That's the kind of standard Messi helped create, and those comparisons haven't faded with time. So, yes, Messi did join an already great Barcelona team, but what people often ignore is how he elevated it into a full-blown dynasty. A strong squad became an era of dominance, and that shift didn't happen by accident. Then came the PSG chapter, what some jokingly call the Croissant Warriors era, and Messi still kept winning.
Que ya está, se terminó para mí la selección. Como dije recién, son 4 finales. No es para mí. Lamentablemente lo busqué, era lo que más deseaba. No se me dio, pero creo que ya.
Now nobody is going to pretend this was the peak of his career, because it clearly wasn't. The rhythm, the chemistry, the overall spark weren't the same as Barcelona, but the idea that he failed there doesn't match reality either. A lot of people forget PSG had actually lost the League One title the season before Messi arrived. Lille took it from them, which exposed that they weren't as untouchable as social media memes made them look. When Messi joined in 2021, PSG still needed stability and moments of brilliance, and he delivered both. In both of his seasons in France, PSG won League One, and Messi played a meaningful role in those campaigns. One of those league titles even included a crucial Messi free kick that directly helped secure the trophy. Was PSG the most loved or satisfying chapter of his career? Definitely not. But he still produced, still contributed, and still walked away with silverware. Just like he always has. By that point, he had already essentially completed club football in the early 2000s, so it almost felt like the final piece of his journey was international success. For over a decade, Messi carried Argentina through immense pressure, while the team repeatedly fell short. The heartbreak was relentless.
Es un pecho frío, camina en la cancha. No lo pueden comparar nunca con Maradona. Siempre lo banqué toda la vida, pero no puede ser. Ya está, dejen de joder, es un invento, se va, un invento.
They lost the 2014 World Cup final. They lost the 2015 Copa America final. They lost again in the 2016 Copa America final. The pressure became so overwhelming that Messi even stepped away from international football for a moment after the loss to Chile, a moment that showed just how heavy everything had become. People questioned everything about him. They said he would never win with Argentina. They said he lacked leadership. They said he wasn't Maradona. They said he couldn't handle the pressure on the biggest stage. Then came another devastating moment in 2018 against France, and many believed that was the end of the story. But football had a different script waiting. At the 2021 Copa America, everything finally flipped. Messi led Argentina to the trophy, winning player of the tournament, finishing as top scorer and top assister, and guiding his nation to victory against Brazil in Brazil. After years of pain and near misses, he finally got his international breakthrough in the most dramatic way possible. That alone would have been enough to seal his legacy, but Messi still wasn't finished with international football.
Why Messi's the best player I ever seen in my life? Because he's a competitor, he's an animal.
He followed it up by helping Argentina win the Finalissima in 2022, absolutely dismantling Italy, the reigning European champions. In that match, Messi was once again at the centre of everything, controlling the tempo and showing he still had that elite-level edge on the biggest stage. Then came the 2022 World Cup, the ultimate prize, the holy grail of football. Messi produced what many consider his greatest World Cup campaign ever, and arguably one of the greatest individual tournaments in the history of the sport. He carried Argentina to their first World Cup title since 1986, delivering under pressure in every possible moment. 2 goals in the final, a massive penalty in the shootout after previous heartbreaks from the spot, and complete leadership from start to finish made it a defining performance. He didn't just play in that tournament, he dominated it. At that point, it really felt like he had completed football. He could have walked away right there, story finished, legacy sealed, but instead, he went on to add another Copa America just 2 years later, turning Argentina into a team that went from years of heartbreak to back-to-back continental dominance once everything finally clicked under the right system and leadership. So it makes sense that the football world was stunned when Messi chose to join what fans jokingly call the Burger King League in the United States. This wasn't the usual ending people expected for a player of his status. Sure, stars had gone to MLS before. Pelé went to the Cosmos. Beckham went to LA Galaxy. Thierry Henry played for the Red Bulls. Lampard spent time in New York City. Big names, iconic careers. But there's a key difference. Those players arrived in MLS at the tail end of their careers. Messi arrived in Miami after one of the greatest years of his entire career. He had just won the World Cup. He had just won the Ballon d'Or. He wasn't fading, he wasn't finished, and he definitely wasn't washed. He still had elite football left in him. That raised one obvious question across the entire sport. How did the best player in the world end up in the United States? To understand that move, you have to rewind, because for most of Messi's life, it seemed impossible that he would ever leave Barcelona at all. Nobody could picture him in another shirt, let alone in a league where people still casually call football soccer. Messi leaving Barcelona in 2021 was one of the most shocking moments in football history. It might have looked sudden from the outside, but the truth is, the cracks had been forming for years behind the scenes. Back in 2020, Messi sent Barcelona a burofax, basically a formal legal request in Spain, saying he wanted to leave the club. And honestly, his reasons made a lot of sense. He was frustrated with how the club was being run at the highest level. Under Bartomeu's leadership, Barcelona made a series of questionable decisions in the transfer market. Huge fees were spent on players like Coutinho, Griezmann and Dembélé, but the squad balance never really worked out the way it was supposed to. The idea was simple: surround Messi with energy, movement and runners. But the execution just didn't match the vision. As a result, Barcelona kept suffering brutal collapses in the Champions League. The nightmare in Rome in 2018, the unforgettable meltdown at Anfield in 2019, and then the devastating 8-2 defeat against Bayern Munich in 2020, all piled up into a growing sense of crisis. Messi had clearly reached his limit. On top of that, Bartomeu had previously promised him he could leave whenever he wanted, but when the moment came, that promise was effectively blocked. Messi wanted out in 2020, but Barcelona argued that his release clause had expired.
My vision was always to bring the best players, but the chance of bringing the best players is difficult. I sneaked into Messi's dad's hotel about 4 years ago in Barcelona for a meeting with him that said, "We want your son. We want him to come to Miami when he's ready." And then when he was at PSG, we then saw an opportunity. All of a sudden, everything aligned. I was actually in Japan the morning that I found out that he was coming. His dad had called us that week and said, "Leo's going to make an announcement." And it was 5 o'clock in the morning and my phone is like going mad. So I pick it up and I saw a barrage of like messages. He'd come out and done his interview, but we wanted him to announce it in his way. And he literally was sat in a hotel room and saying that he's coming to Miami.
Not wanting to take his childhood club to court, he stayed one more season instead of forcing a legal battle. By 2021, the situation had become a full-blown financial disaster. Barcelona had the highest wage bill in world football. COVID had wiped out key revenue streams, and the club was over 1.3 billion euros in debt. La Liga also slashed their salary cap from around 600 million euros down to roughly 200 million euros. Even when Messi agreed to take a 50% pay cut to help make things work, it still wasn't enough. Barcelona simply couldn't register his contract under La Liga rules, and without registration, he literally couldn't play, no matter the wage cut, even if he played for free. La Liga refused to make exceptions, and the rules were the rules. Joan Laporta had publicly promised fans that Messi would stay, but behind the scenes, the reality was already locked in. So on August 5th, 2021, Barcelona officially announced that Messi would be leaving the club. Messi naturally broke down in tears during his farewell press conference. He didn't want to leave Barcelona, but the situation left him with absolutely no choice. After that emotional exit, he joined PSG, the so-called Eiffel Tower lovers. And suddenly, the football world was expecting a dream super team with Messi, Neymar and Mbappe all in one lineup. But things didn't go the way people imagined. His first season was underwhelming by his standards. He missed large parts of the campaign due to injuries and ended up with 11 goals and 15 assists in the league. For any normal player, those are strong numbers. But for Messi, it was considered a quiet season. On top of that, PSG suffered another brutal Champions League collapse, this time against Real Madrid, where Benzema ripped through the tie with a hat-trick. Messi also missed a penalty in the first leg, and the criticism from fans never really stopped after that moment. His second season looked much sharper. He finished with 16 goals and 16 assists, and PSG still managed to secure the league title once again. But even with improved performances, something still felt off. Messi never truly felt at home in Paris. The boos, the frustration from fans, and the constant pressure created an environment that never fully clicked with him. Barcelona wanted him back, but the financial reality made it impossible. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia came in with an unbelievable offer, around 400 million euros per year. It was the kind of money most players couldn't even imagine turning down.
This season in particular, the piece of news that were coming out of seemingly every weekend was Lionel Messi scored 2 goals and assisted in a couple others. Lionel Messi had a hat-trick. Lionel Messi did. It's about the productivity.
But Messi said no. This is where David Beckham and Inter Miami entered the picture. Beckham had been working behind the scenes for years, dreaming of bringing Messi to MLS. Early conversations started around 2020, but things became serious in 2022 as the plan slowly took shape. Inter Miami weren't just offering football, they were offering a full package, a share of Apple TV revenue, a major Adidas partnership, part ownership in the club, and a long-term lifestyle plan in the United States. On top of that, Miami already felt familiar to Messi. He owned property there, his family enjoyed the city, and the idea of a calmer environment after years of pressure in Europe was very appealing. So he chose South Beach, and the impact was instant. In his debut, Messi scored a stoppage-time free-kick winner against Cruz Azul in the League's Cup, an instant classic Messi moment. Then came what fans started calling Messi After Dark, the version of him that shows up under the lights in MLS. Against Atlanta United, he delivered 2 goals and an assist in a performance that felt like vintage Messi all over again. Against Orlando, it was another statement performance, another brace. Against Dallas, he delivered again with 2 goals, including yet another late free kick that completely flipped the match on its head. Miami, a team that had been sitting at the bottom of the league with no real history of success, suddenly looked like a completely different side. Messi was dragging them into a new reality. He scored in the quarterfinals, then produced a stunning goal in the semifinals.
Feliz por lo que conseguimos, por ello, la verdad que terminen su carrera de esta manera es muy lindo para todos, se lo merecían después de lo que fueron. Como jugador, los dos más grandes, o entre los grandes de la historia, cada uno en su posición, con toda la carrera que tuvieron, títulos que ganaron y que puedan retirarse con esta MLS, creo que hoy no son conscientes todavía de lo que están viviendo, del retiro y bueno, hoy se le termina algo muy hermoso donde le dedicaron toda su vida. Y nada, a partir de ahora empieza otra vida, la cual le deseo siempre lo mejor porque son 2 amigos los que quiero mucho y nada, feliz de que se puedan ir con este título.
And finally found the net again in the final against Nashville. Miami went on to win the League's Cup, marking the first trophy in the club's history, and it all revolved around Messi's impact. Across that League's Cup run, he played 7 matches, scored 10 goals, and added 4 assists. That level of output instantly changed everything, and he didn't slow down after that either. He went on to finish with 23 goals and 13 assists across all competitions, including a record-breaking 5-assist performance in a single MLS match. He also helped Inter Miami win the Supporters' Shield with a league record 74 points, added his first hat-trick for the club, and became the first MVP in Inter Miami history. The impact wasn't just at club level, it shook the entire league. MLS stopped being seen as a retirement destination and started getting global attention again. Viewership increased, discussions exploded worldwide, and Inter Miami transformed into a global brand almost overnight. Messi had entered another league, and he was dominating it again. That first full version of Miami with Messi was electric, but also a bit chaotic. No pun intended. They won the League's Cup immediately in 2023, but inconsistent form and injuries meant they still missed out on the MLS playoffs. The following season, they secured the Supporters' Shield, essentially the best regular season record, but fell early in the post-season playoffs. Tata Martino eventually stepped down, and questions started to build around the project. Heading into 2025, the big debate was whether Inter Miami was just a marketing-driven story or a genuine competitive force capable of winning major trophies. Early on, doubts were loud. They were knocked out of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and critics questioned whether this team could ever deliver when it truly mattered on the biggest stages. Because while the Supporters' Shield is impressive, the MLS Cup is the real prize, the ultimate goal in American soccer. But new coach Javier Mascherano stayed calm, insisting the team was still developing chemistry and identity. Slowly, Miami began to find momentum again. At the Club World Cup, they became the only MLS side to make it out of their group stage. They eventually fell short against the Champions League winners PSG, but even in defeat, that run gave Inter Miami something crucial: belief. It showed them they could stand toe-to-toe with Europe's elite, and after that moment, everything started to click in a serious way. Messi went on an absolute tear. 8 goals in just 5 games, then 11 goals and 10 assists across his final 10 regular season matches, followed by 6 goals and 9 assists in only 6 playoff games. That level of production in a knockout environment was unreal. He wasn't just playing for trophies anymore, he was playing for legacy and for his closest teammates. Messi made it clear how emotional it was to win alongside Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets, who both retired after that final match. Sending 2 of his closest friends out as champions meant everything to him, and he spoke openly about how special that moment was. He carried them once at Barcelona, and then carried them again in Miami. Now Inter Miami are entering what fans are calling Messi Era 2.0. The first version of the project is slowly closing, with the old guard, Busquets, Jordi Alba, and potentially even Luis Suarez, stepping aside. In their place, new energy is arriving, with players like Rodrigo de Paul adding intensity and balance to the squad. The way Miami dominated the playoffs showed exactly what this next version could look like. Messi at the center, surrounded by younger, faster players who stretch defenses, create space, and allow him to operate freely. It's almost like the system Barcelona should have built in his later years. That setup led to Miami scoring 20 goals in the playoffs, with Messi directly involved in 15 of them. Even at this stage of his career, his influence on games remains overwhelming. Beyond club football, Messi has also started speaking about the bigger picture. He's talked publicly about wanting MLS to grow, improve its structure, and invest more seriously in its future. And, with his influence, those conversations carry real weight. Inter Miami shares that ambition. The club wants to evolve alongside the league, and having the greatest player of all time actively pushing for that development gives them enormous leverage and visibility. This is exactly the kind of transformation David Beckham envisioned when he joined MLS back in 2007. Beckham changed the league's perception, but Messi's arrival is operating on an entirely different scale, accelerating that global attention even further. At this point, Messi dominating another league almost feels routine, but it really shouldn't. It's just another reminder that he didn't come to Miami to slow down or fade away. He came to compete, to lead, and to win. And if you want to see just how many victims Messi has collected over the years while winning absolutely everything there is to win, check out the next video right here. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below with your thoughts.